Hello.
Just a heads up, the park closes at sunset.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, park ranger.
Park closes at sunset. All right,
Yes.
the wrong conversation. Limited edition or shortened edition.
Shortened edition, right? Exactly.
Shortened edition. Today we're going to do a bit of a holiday / Christmas episode in celebration of giving and receiving.
First of all, I want to acknowledge I'm in Florida. I'm not in my normal maple forest sanctuary. I'm in Fort Myers, Florida. So that's kind of fun. My family come here every year.
And I'm outside in California.
Yes, you are in La La Land.
with my reindeer headgear.
Yes, of course. And I'm not sure I can don this the whole entire episode because beads of sweat are going to start. It is 85 degrees here, and and the sun is still shining. Anyways, but this is a place that we begin our giving and receiving, and I don't mean by presents, of course, right? I think too often giving and receiving is just thought about as gifts, right? And I think we all know that that's a trap that we fall into, and we best not do it. But yet we do it, right? And we can lose sight of what giving and receiving really means. And I'm really excited about just kind of diving into that nuance a little bit. And one of my favorite parts, and I'll just start here, and then maybe you can, say something, is just how similar and linked they both are. Giving and receiving. They seem like polar opposite, right? There's one on one side and then one on the other side, but they actually are a unitive act. You can't give without a receiver, and you can't receive without a giver. It's very obvious, right? Mm-hmm. So one relies upon the other, and the more that we're aware of the receiving part of giving and the giving part of receiving, the more we can understand the depth that lies within that act. That would be probably one of the first things I would say.
I love that. I just love that. I'm eager just for you to explain it because I think that's just a great opening line, I think.
Taking simple examples, like we've all gotten a really tremendously awesome present that the actual act and the whole moment was kind of, it was a great present, but yet somehow it left you, something was lacking, something was missing. And there's been many times, right, where a child receives gifts and there's no gratitude, right? It makes it it's not as enjoyable to give that gift, right? You almost wonder, maybe they didn't need that gift, right? Because they obviously don't know how to receive. And then the flip side, everyone has gotten that little something that somebody gave you and you're like, I can't believe that you remembered that. That you remembered that I said that, or that I love this thing that's kind of obscure or whatever. And it's not about the gift, right? It's about the thoughtfulness. And then it's the same thing when that person gives that gift and there's a synergy there. And when it's done right, or when we have the delight of experiencing them both in their fullest sense, it's magical and it's unitive. Like it's the kind of connection you can't get any other way. So these are just really basic ways to understand how they're symbiotic, right?
I agree. Yeah. I think if I was going to sum that up for both giving and receiving, that it's about presence, not presence.
Yeah. Yes.
Like you said, like the small gift, I can't believe you remembered that.
Yeah. Right.
And that trumps, you got me the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah. Exactly. Every time, honestly. I mean, it's not like you don't like the big present. It's just what really matters, what really lands most of the time,
I was speaking to my wife last night about, do you remember any particular Christmas present you ever got with a kid? Like we all have some memory from some past holiday, birthday, Christmas, something that something special happened. But then I started searching my mind, and I remembered like 2 or 3 little things, and they were always these little things that showed that somebody thought, and it wasn't, the thing wasn't exciting. And then my wife said, she goes, I don't think I remember any of my gifts, but I remember the time. Wow. I remember
Isn't that so funny?
How we decorated the tree. I remember how we would laugh. I remember how there wouldn't be anything to do, so we'd have to make up some silly game because we were all just sitting there, she just remembered the time invested.
Yep.
And that might sound a bit cliche, but man, so many cliches are true. And I think there's some deep truth in that one.
And again, when you think about what that means, what is that? Like my family's the same way, I think. Like we have lots of little traditions, like just little things we do, and then they all mean something, and they're all so fun to do, right? And the kids will always be like, oh my God, we didn't do, because it's important to them to do this thing, and they're not kids anymore, they're all adults. And, I think what that is, though, is those are points of connection. Those are moments that we spend together when we do this thing. Does that make any sense? Yeah. And that's the gift. And that's what's received too, though, right? Is that connecting. I think those are the moments that matter. And even when you give the great gift, I mean, that's what that boils down to, right? It's you feel this connection with that person. This reminds me of the second thing that I would love to say about it, about giving and receiving. And that is that the greatest gift you will ever give is you. And that comes to your, not presence, but presence, as in your beingness, right? And the other thing I would say is, as we're saying that, is that it is a gift that is always being given. We've talked about this a little bit before, but I thought this is a really great time to really maybe hone in on this a bit. The act of giving and receiving is not only on, in December, right? At the end of December. I mean, the act of giving and receiving is constantly happening. We're constantly giving and receiving to each other. Now, what is it we're giving and how are we receiving? That's the question, right? But there's an energetic exchange always, David, right? But we don't think about that a lot. This is the time where we get conscious about what we're giving. But even then, even when we're thinking about when we wrap something up and we present it, what's most important is who's presenting it. Who's receiving it.
Who doesn't just mean what your name is and what your relationship is to the person.
No.
It's how you're showing up. There's lots of yous inside yourself, right? There's lots of different Davids, there's lots of different Adrians. Right. Which one is coming to the party today, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a stressful time of the year for a lot of us too. So it's easy for the stressful person to show up. It's easy to slip into that, right? The exhausted one, the one that has been working so hard and now here it is and it's like, okay, and that's something I would warn against. Like, do your best to make sure you're getting some sleep and that you're not overemphasizing some of the parts of this holiday that might not be as important as who shows up to the family gathering, who shows up, who wakes up on Christmas morning, and can I be present or have I worn myself out? Does that make any sense, David? I think it's a really common thing to do. I know I've fallen into it,
I think it's really easy to get wrapped up into what you think you're supposed to be doing, what you think you're supposed to be offering. Like, I need to have X amount of gifts, there needs to be this food, I need to have the decor. So there is a lot of pressure, right, to do all of the things that are maybe feel like they're expected at Christmas, but or even over any holiday or any time, right? Because this extends beyond the holiday. But it's more about who shows up than what shows up.
Exactly.
Like, did food show up? Did this present show up? Did the decor show up?
Right.
Are
the cookies there? Are the right?
Yeah,
is the eggnog there? Is the what I mean? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like does any of that matter if you show up too tired to enjoy it or too stressed out to connect with your loved ones?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can you give or receive like that? Not as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that brings up is that pressure that we feel. The pressure that you feel to give. Maybe at Christmas you put a lot of pressure on yourself to give something great to someone else who you love. But that pressure, if you really get honest about it, it's usually not about them. That pressure is usually about you, right?
Yes, very true, David.
That pressure is more about your own sense of lack or your own sense of worry. And it's really good to remember that as you feel the pressure to provide. Just think, is that pressure really a gift to them? Or is that me trying to save face or avoid guilt or wanting to impress? That might be about me or about you if you're the giver.
One of the things I think is important to remember as we're giving and receiving is the person, right? And that's not just the person that we're giving to, but the person who's giving, and vice versa, because there's this connection, right? So to be mindful of that person, and then to be mindful of this person as you're giving, as you're receiving. You know, because you're trying to, you're connecting. That's what you're doing. You know.
It's not just this holiday. It's not just
No.
a birthday.
That's right.
It can be every day, and not that you need to put on antlers and a Santa hat to do it, but a presence, or it doesn't have to be that don't get someone presents, but make sure there's presence in your presence.
Yes.
Presence as
exactly.
being, and that your presence is a present. Yeah.
That's it. And that you are always giving and receiving. Be mindful of that. That would be one of my big takeaways I would love to share, that's always happening. This isn't something all that special in a weird way, except that it is when you pay attention. When you pay attention to how much you're giving and how much you're receiving from other people all the time. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Yeah, maybe this isn't a day for giving and receiving. It's just the day to acknowledge it.
That's it. Yeah. I love that.
It's a day to focus on it and acknowledge it, and know that just to remind yourself that it is a never-ending, ongoing back and forth.
Not to get, but I didn't send out my Santa list. I forgot to mail it. But I do know a few things that I would love to have this Christmas. One would be some new subscribers. I would love to see some new subscribers. That would be such a wonderful gift, and I would receive it so open-heartedly and so wonderfully. And some comments, I would love to receive some comments.
I'm telling you, we're here, we're talking on the camera, we're putting these videos and podcasts out, but every little thing that comes back from you is deeply meaningful. Every time I talk to somebody and they say, I listened to this episode, I loved when you said this, or somebody just saw one of the short videos I made, one of the little 1 minute long things, and they just said, I love this. They just sent me a thing saying, I love this one from 3 months ago or something.
Yeah.
And, man, it just made my day. And so,
absolutely.
and I let them know it made my day. So
That's cool.
it means a lot, everyone. It means a lot.
It does. It really does. It does. Well, David, the sun has set. I got to get out of here, or I'm going to get kicked out.
Park is closed. I think this should be like the Beatles rooftop concert where the cops come and start pulling the power on you and dragging you off. I think that would be a perfect ending.
You like that? Well, I
this.
can do it. He could start doing it right now. So,
can you see the ocean from where you are at this moment?
I can. You want to see it?
I want to see it. I want to. If you're in Florida and at the beach, I have to see the ocean.
There it is, my friend.
All right.
With the fishermen and all. Look at this. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, David.
Okay, very good. Enjoy the rest of your giving and receiving vacation.
Okay.
Have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you for the next one.
Same to you, and I look forward to it.